Many people have invited the brand for endorsement, but even more people hope he will leave. Today's story comes from a netizen's share. Xiao Chen is a performer who went to Hangzhou with her boyfriend in 2018 to develop her career. At that time, she met an older sister wearing 9 brands, who often told Xiao Chen that this brand could bring her love and wealth. Xiao Chen, with a strong curiosity, also felt that her own fortune seemed not very good, so she asked the older sister for the WeChat of that brand's dealer. Xiao Chen paid attention to this person's moments every day until one day, he posted a picture of the Nanling brand. At that moment, when I opened his moments and took a glance, I suddenly wanted to have this brand. It was strange, the desire to get it was particularly strong. Xiao Chen had already had his WeChat for more than half a month, and she did not respond to many brands he posted. Only this Nanling brand, in Xiao Chen's words, was a desire that made one's scalp tingle. She asked the seller if it was positive. The seller said it was. In addition, the older sister's 9 brands were all invited by her family, so Xiao Chen was infatuated and ordered at a price of several thousand yuan. A few days later, the items arrived. The first time she held them in her hand, the feeling was strange. Suddenly, she felt both sad and excited, and her body trembled a little. So, this Xiao Chen asked the seller how to worship, and the seller said, "Worship when you have a wish, and worship again after the wish is fulfilled. When worshipping, you only need cigarettes, alcohol, roasted chicken, and fruits." At that time, Xiao Chen's first wish was to earn more money in these 3 days, and then she started her first worship. At that time, Xiao Chen lived with her boyfriend, and her boyfriend was not against it. Instead, they were both very curious. At that time, that cigarette burned very quickly, in a strange way, as if someone was smoking it all the time, and it was finished in no time. And those worshipped fruits and roasted chickens were put on at noon, and they started to rot that night. But the weather was not hot at that time, and the rate of spoilage did not match the season. As for the alcohol, Xiao Chen bought white wine. The next morning, when Xiao Chen was going to clean up the offerings, her boyfriend, who was brave, took a sip of the wine, and then he went straight silly because the wine had no taste, just like white water. And those 2 days, Xiao Chen's fortune was really good, in an inexplicable way. Originally, she thought she would live a happy life because of this, but she didn't expect that later it would make her regret buying this brand. Xiao Chen and her husband's life troubles occurred 3 months later when they bought a brand. At that time, she and her boyfriend rented a 4-story house. They lived on the 2nd floor, and an older sister lived on the 4th floor. One night, when the older sister went home upstairs after eating snacks, she saw a man in black standing at Xiao Chen's door, but he looked very young. Then several people immediately made a phone call, asking if there was a guest at your home. "I just saw a strange man at your door. Please note that his clothes are very strange." Xiao Chen immediately went to the door and looked out through the peephole, and there was no one. At that time, she also realized something and said, "Ah, yes, the older sister is our friend who came to play. It's okay, go to bed early." But after that battle, this older sister often saw that man. Later, when the older sister knew that Xiao Chen had the brand, she moved out directly and did not contact Xiao Chen. But at this time, Xiao Chen did not realize the seriousness of the problem until one day, when Xiao Chen got off work. It was after 1 a.m. and her boyfriend did not pick her up, and her younger sister also left, and Xiao Chen went home alone, vaguely seeing a shadow behind her. She was very scared, so she called her boyfriend and said, "I'm almost home, come to the door to pick me up. Because Xiao Chen thought that if it was a stalker, hearing this call would definitely not follow. But after hanging up the phone, Xiao Chen found that the shadow was still following her. She pretended to make up and carefully looked behind with a makeup mirror, but there was nothing behind her. However, she inadvertently glanced, and the shadow really existed. This feeling made her instantly creepy, and she ran directly. From that day on, this shadow would appear from time to time around Xiao Chen. Her colleagues, sisters, and even the boss have seen this strange man. As a result, there were almost no friends around Xiao Chen, but at least it did not really affect her at that time. She felt that under the blessing of this big brother, her fortune was still good. Until the end of 19, something happened at Xiao Chen's home, and she was very short of money. She made another wish, hoping to earn a sum of money as soon as possible to solve the urgent need. Later, she really got what she wished for. But on the night she got pregnant, she had a dream. In the dream, the young man in strange clothes told her that he didn't need little things. He wanted Xiao Chen's person to do this dream. The next third day, Xiao Chen went to the performance station's lifting stage. There was no barrier around the lifting stage. After Xiao Chen's performance, she suddenly felt that she was pushed and fell directly from the stage. Fortunately, Xiao Chen reacted quickly, and her leg hooked on the edge of the stage to buffer, and the person was not a big problem, but the calf directly lost a piece of meat, which was scraped off. From then on, Xiao Chen had all kinds of small disasters and never stopped for a day. She dared not sleep at night because she could feel a dark shadow watching her, and she really couldn't help it. She fell asleep and had a dream. Her boyfriend also had all kinds of work, and the two often quarreled. Later, because of a car accident, the two almost disappeared. Then Xiao Chen realized that there was a problem and wanted to find the boss who sold the brand to solve the problem. As a result, after I finished saying my situation, the other party directly blocked me. Well, Xiao Chen was in all kinds of mental torment, and the whole person was in a trance. You know this kind of helplessness, listening to friends say that there is a very famous temple in Hangzhou, and he wanted to consult. As a result, as soon as he arrived at the door, he felt dizzy and vomited, and his whole body trembled. What is luck? Just as Xiao Chen was about to leave, an old monk found out about Xiao Chen's situation. It was strange that the old monk went up and took Xiao Chen's hand, and all his discomfort was instantly cleared. What did this Xiao Chen want to say? The old monk waved his hand and looked behind Xiao Chen. But at that time, Xiao Chen also looked back, and there was no one behind him. Then the old monk took Xiao Chen into the temple. He took Xiao Chen to a tree, next to a cement platform, and sat down. The next words shocked Xiao Chen. The old monk directly said, "Bury your things under the tree, and you will no longer be entangled. But your future luck has been exhausted. Live down to earth, what should be yours will be yours, and what should not be yours, what you get will be repaid double." As for Xiao Chen, as the old monk said, after burying the brand under the tree, she really didn't see the strange dark shadow, nor did she have strange dreams. But she had a serious illness, and then this state slowly improved. As the old monk said, her luck has been exhausted, so she has been unlucky since then, but at least she is better than being tortured every day. So be very careful. Well, see you next story.